Premiering in 1998, Powerpuff Girls has become a cultural icon and remains one of Cartoon Network's greatest cartoons. With nearly 23 years of cultural relevance, the show has gained a lot of interesting incarnations, facts, theories, and a whole lot more. And with a live-action reboot on the way, I figured it would be a good idea to make people forget that the reboot is coming and give you the Powerpuff Girls Iceberg. Now, if you've been on the internet for a while, I'm sure you are well aware of the Iceberg trend and what it means. So to keep this from being repetitive, I will just cut right to the chase and get to the goods. But before I do so, I would like to thank Spenny the Spoon on Reddit for making the Iceberg.
Time for me to make money off your hard work.
So without further ado, let's get to the Iceberg. Layer 1. Professor Utonium is Samurai Jack. This is a theory that has been around the internet for a very long time. What this theory states is that while the Powerpuff Girls were fighting crime, they ended up destroying Townsville, which caused Professor Utonium to transform into Samurai Jack. Yes, it does sound very stupid. But to be fair, so are a lot of cartoon conspiracy theories. But you may be wondering if the theory is true. Well, no. Both Craig McCracken and Genndy Tartakovsky have confirmed the theory to be false. Although I won't lie, I vaguely remember being a kid and thinking that Samurai Jack was some sort of spin-off of the Powerpuff Girls. I was a dumb kid. Whoop-Ass Stew. Whoop-Ass Stew is the original incarnation of Powerpuff Girls created by Craig McCracken in 1992 during his time at CalArts. When he eventually sent off the short to Cartoon Network, they ended up changing the title a little bit to the Powerpuff Girls for rather obvious reasons. Interesting enough, aside from the name, there are a lot of differences between Whoop-Ass Stew and the Powerpuff Girls. An example of this being that the girls really don't have a personality. They all share the same voice, which was provided by Jennifer Fried. And the only superhero ability they seem to have in the short is the power of flight. Despite this, they managed to fly up to the sun and deliberately tried to murder the Amoeba Boys by burning them alive. Yeah, definitely a bit different from the actual series. Powerpuff Girls Z, Powerpuff Girls 2016, and the Powerpuff Girls CW show. Ever since the original series ended, the show itself went through many reincarnations, such as the 2006 anime adaptation, which was your typical magical girl anime, much like Sailor Moon or Tokyo Mew Mew, which admittedly is a fairly big guilty pleasure of mine.
You're starved, Ken, for a mother's love, but that's okay, because from now on, we'll be your mom.
The 2016 series, which tried to modernize the series, which just led to an overall negative reception by pretty much everyone. And the CW show, which is currently still in production. Although, as of the time of writing this script, the original script for the CW show was leaked. And needless to say, it was panned by literally everyone and their mother, and perhaps even their grandmother. Most of these have little to no involvement from the original staff, and while I'm not saying that's what made most of these fail, actually, what am I talking about? That is what I'm saying. What a cartoon shorts. During the mid-90s, Cartoon Network was looking to freshen up their lineup of shows. The shorts Meet Fuzzy Lumpkins and Crime 101 were made and premiered on the What a Cartoon anthology series, and was one of the most popular things spawned from the series itself, alongside stuff like Dexter's Lab and Courage the Cowardly Dog. All those fucking top 10 dirty jokes and Powerpuff Girls videos you see online. Okay, this should be rather easy to explain. If you go on YouTube, you'll probably end up finding at least 1 or 2, perhaps even 3, of these top whatever number dirty jokes in Powerpuff Girls videos. This should come as no surprise to anyone because at the time shows like the Powerpuff Girls were originally airing, it was much easier for creatives to get away with more risque humor. Some examples being the following.
He made us in his laboratory by accident.
Well, what can I say?
Don't worry, Professor. I was an accident, too. You're a liar, Professor Dick!
Dance Pants. Dance Pants was a special release in early 2014, and is mostly known nowadays for its unique art style being unlike any other Powerpuff Girls media to date. The original cast reprised their roles for this, and even Ringo Starr ended up, for lack of a better term, starring in the special. and even ending up singing a song for it called Wish I Was a Powerpuff Girl, a statement in which both me and Ringo can agree on. I actually remember seeing this special being promoted on Cartoon Network and seeing it the day it premiered on Cartoon Network. I remember it being alright, but I haven't seen it since it first premiered, so maybe my memory's faulty. The Powerpuff Girls rule. Although this isn't listed on the Iceberg, I feel like this needs to be mentioned in the video. So in 2008, a special entitled The Powerpuff Girls Rule was made to celebrate the show's 10-year anniversary. The special is pretty notable for a few things. The special is the canonical series finale of The Powerpuff Girls, with Mojo finally taking over Townsville. The special is also known for being one of the only Powerpuff Girls productions to be done through Adobe Flash. God rest its soul. This could also explain this.
Oh!
One more thing I'd like to mention about this special is that the special features Mojo Jojo singing a cover of Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears. No, I am not kidding.
Everybody wants to rule the world.
Layer 2, The Apples in Stereo. The Apples in Stereo is an indie rock band from the early 2000s that ended up doing a song for the show. The song itself is titled Signal in the Sky and was featured in the episode Super Friends and on the album Heroes and Villains. Another fact about the song is that it slaps. Please listen to it. Kath Soucie as Bubbles. During the What a Cartoon shorts, Tara Strong wasn't originally casted as Bubbles, presumably because of all the royalties she was making from her role as Hello Kitty on Hello Kitty's Fairy Tale Theater.
Doesn't he know to lock his door?
So during this time, voice acting legend Kath Soucie, who you may know for their roles as, Phil and Lil from the Rugrats, Sally Acorn from Sonic Saturday Morning, perhaps Fifi LaFume from Tiny Toon Adventures, would play the role of Bubbles. While Tara Strong would later take over the role as Bubbles, and in my opinion, master the role, Kath Soucie still ended up giving her voice talents to the actual series, playing the roles of Marianne and Julie Smith. Rowdy Rough Boys fandom. The Rowdy Rough Boys are pretty much the gender-bent versions of the Powerpuff Girls created by Mojo Jojo during one of his several nights in prison. The Rowdy Rough Boys fandom was something that spawned once the early 2000s rolled around, and I'm assuming once the episode The Boys Are Back in Town premiered.
You girls are gonna eat your words, spit them out, and eat them again!
That doesn't even make sense.
I know you are, but what am I?
After this, various kinds of art, videos, and even websites dedicated to the anarchists were made. Some, and by some I mean most, of the art involved shipping between the Rowdy Rough Boys and the Powerpuff Girls, despite the fact that they literally actually fucking died because the Powerpuff Girls kissed them. But hey, what do I know? I actually do remember running into a few of these videos as a kid, and they were typically something along the lines of Windows Movie Maker slideshows of Boomer and Bubbles, or something under the guides of, say, Anything You Can Do from Annie Get Your Gun with Blossom and Brick.
I can live on bread and cheese.
And only on that?
Yes.
So can a rat.
The Powerpunk Girls. Another thing that isn't listed on the Iceberg, but I want to talk about anyways. The Powerpunk Girls are basically the opposite of the Powerpuff Girls, and are from an alternate dimension. Think Scourge from the Sonic comics, or Negaduck from Darkwing Duck. Much like Scourge, the Powerpuff Girls are exclusives to the DC Powerpuff Girls comic, and much like the Rowdy Rough Boys, they ended up getting a bit of a cult following amongst Powerpuff Girls fans. Sure, this wasn't as big as the Rowdy Rough Boys per se, but it was still there, with videos, art, and fanfic probably aplenty. See Me, Feel Me, Know Me. See Me, Feel Me, Know Me is an episode from the 5th season of the show. The episode is a rock opera in the style of stuff like Hair or Wicked. People like Nintendo and Rebel Taxi have made great videos about the topic, so I'll let you just watch those to get more information on it, but the basic gist on why this episode is on the Iceberg is because it was actually banned in the United States due to people misconstruing some buildings to be a lot like crosses, and one of the hippies to look like Jesus. I don't get it either. But because of this, the episode didn't see the light of day in America until the complete series DVD box set of the show was released. Nowadays, you can watch it on Hulu or Amazon Prime. Ace in Gorillaz. In 2018, Ace, a member of the gang Green Gang, would end up replacing Murdoch in the band Gorillaz during their 6th album. Now, this within itself is very interesting, but it really should come as no surprise if you are just big-brained in the world of Powerpuff Girls lore, like I am. Amazingly enough, Gorillaz and Powerpuff Girls actually have a bit of a rich history. For an example, outside of Ace being in Gorillaz, in the 2002 films, you can actually see ads for a live tour of Gorillaz. Quote unquote, I guess. I guess it would be live in the Powerpuff Girls universe, but oh well. Now, admittedly, I am not the most knowledgeable about Gorillaz lore, but from what I can gather, the basic gist is this. The band's bassist, Murdoch, was arrested for something, and during the time of his incarceration, Ace would take his place. Now, the main reason Ace was chosen was due in fact that Damon Albarn, the musician for the band, felt that Ace had a spiritual connection to Murdoch, and the brains behind both franchises knew each other personally. In all honesty, this cameo is probably the best Powerpuff Girls related project to come out of the 2010s. I am not joking. The girls aren't related in the anime. This is rather self-explanatory. In the anime adaptation of Powerpuff Girls, the girls aren't actually sisters. In fact, they barely knew each other until they became the Powerpuff Girls. Why this is done is unknown to me at least. If anyone has a good explanation for this, please tell me in the comments. The mayor and the professor's early design. During the Whoop-Ass Stew and What a Cartoon eras of the show, early designs of the mayor and Professor Utonium can be seen. Utonium looks like Dexter if he went through a midlife crisis, while the mayor looks like an extra from Really Annie, Hanna-Barbera show, which, considering the time, makes a lot of sense. The 4th Powerpuff Girl. Throughout the show, we've been teased about a 4th Powerpuff Girl, whether it be Princess Morbucks wanting to be a Powerpuff Girl despite not having what it takes to be one, Bunny, who was simply just too pure for this world, Bliss, I refuse to watch the reboot, so I can't say anything about her character, or even Ringo Starr from the aforementioned Dance Pants special. Now, who do I think is the 4th Powerpuff Girl? Well, according to 5-year-old me, it was me who was the 4th Powerpuff Girl, so I'll be selfish and say that I'm the 4th Powerpuff Girl, so ha 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 ha. Hanna-Barbera cameos. Like many shows from the cartoon era, the Powerpuff Girls had its fair share of cameos from the classic Hanna-Barbera library of cartoons, such as Fred and Barney from the Flintstones being thugs in the episode Hot Air Buffoons, or Yogi Bear being called Bear of the World in the episode Shotgun Wedding. On the topic of cameos, I'd like to mention shows like Dexter's Lab, which I guess can also fall under the Hanna-Barbera umbrella, and South Park, which I know for a fact definitely doesn't fall under that umbrella, have been referenced a few times as well. Layer 3. Mojo Jojo was a good guy who just got bored. This is another reference to the Powerpuff Girls rule. The special where after Mojo takes over Townsville and makes Townsville a better place, he ends up just getting bored and goes back to his evil ways, resulting in him going back to prison. Fluently animated Got Milk ads. In the early 2000s, and in promotion for the Powerpuff Girls movie, a series of 4 Got Milk ads were made to promote milk. And the quality of the animations were strangely higher than the actual show itself. Now, this should come as no surprise, because for stuff like this, the animation tends to be high quality, assumably to get the person's attention and to buy the product. Kinda like that one Garfield and Friends fruit snacks ad, or oddly enough, the Lucky Captain Rabbit King Nuggets commercial from the episode Jewel of the Isle. Miss Bellum's neck. Miss Bellum is the assistant of the mayor and is a character with a fair amount of mystery to her. One being what her face could look like, mainly because of the fact that she is typically taller than, well, most characters in the show. Her head is usually seldom seen. Most of the time it's just a elongated neck, as seen here. Powerpuff Girls and Foster's Home in the same universe. Much like the Samurai Jack theory, it has been theorized by fans that Powerpuff Girls and Foster's Home takes place in the same universe. This is mainly due to stuff like the aforementioned Foster's cameo in the Powerpuff Girls rule, and also this.
Unimaginative ones. Some kids aren't that creative, so they just copy what they see on TV. What are you gonna do?
While this was also proven false by Craig McCracken, it's honestly fun to think that at any given moment, someone like Coco could interact with someone like, say, Lenny Baxter, the comic bookie. I don't know. Jared Shapiro. Oh dear, poor Jared Shapiro. Jared Shapiro was a side character and a love interest for Blossom in the 2016 reboot. The main reason why he's on this iceberg is that he was part of a controversy due to the resemblance he shared with one of the writers. Now, on a surface level, this doesn't sound all that out of the ordinary because, I mean, in the original, Craig McCracken showed up a few times, but here it's a bit different. In this instance, it seems like he self-inserted himself as a way to show his crush for Blossom, who, keep in mind, is a fucking 5-year-old. Now, luckily for everyone on planet Earth, this was nothing more than a rumor, but I'm honestly not sure if this would exactly ruin the reputation of the reboot, considering it didn't really have a reputation to even begin with, but who knows? Powerpuff Girls references and cameos in other shows. Various other pieces of media out there have referenced Powerpuff Girls and have even featured the characters many a time. Some of my favorite examples of this would be the ending to the Billy and Mandy episode, My Fair Mandy, the one time in Chowder where this guy ends up getting rejected by Miss Bellum, and as mentioned before, Mojo's cameo in Foster's Home. Some other examples of media referencing the show can include Dexter's Lab, Panty and Stocking, Elf, Super Nanny, the MLP IDW comic, Degrassi, and so much more. Powerpuff Girls, Doujinshi, and other crossover comics. This is another thing that isn't exactly on the iceberg, but I really want to talk about regardless. Powerpuff Girls Doujinshi is a webcomic created by Vincent. I'm not even gonna bother with his last name. Basic plot is about the Powerpuff Girls moving to a new place called Megaville, in which they run into Dexter of Dexter's Lab and protect the town of Megaville from an evil corporation called the Cluster. Aside from Dexter, this comic has been well known for not only crossing over other shows from Cartoon Network such as Billy and Mandy, Courage the Cowardly Dog, and Mega XLR, but Nickelodeon shows as well, such as My Life as a Teenage Robot, Invader Zim, and Danny Phantom. This comic has been going on since 2012 and is still updated sporadically to this very day. This, however, isn't the only time the Powerpuff Girls have crossed over in the form of a comic. There have been 2 major crossover comics involving the Powerpuff Girls, both being published by IDW, and in all honesty, these comics could be videos within themselves. These 2 comics include Super Secret Crisis War, in which the girls team up with Dexter, Samurai Jack, Ben 10, and Ed, Edd n Eddy, and the Powerpuff Girls Super Smash Up, which involved the girls going through literally any Cartoon Network show, from the well-known stuff like Dexter to Courage, to stuff like Cow and Chicken and Foster's Home. But best of all, they got my boy Laszlo, making this comic superior by a long shot. Mojo Jojo snuck into a movie theater without paying. This is nothing more than a quote from the ending bit of the Billy and Mandy episode, My Fair Mandy, in which Grim, Billy, and Mandy turn into the Powerpuff Girls. Layer 4. Barry Mackerbacker. Barry is some schmuck from the 2016 reboot who probably has the Illuminati on his shirt. I'm sure Shadow Streak has made a video about this, so go and watch that if he has. Townsville coordinates in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of Japan. According to the 4th episode of the 4th season, the coordinates of Townsville are given as 32 north and 212 west. Although not exactly possible due to longitudes and whatnot, if one was to travel past the west of the Prime Meridian, you'll end up being stuck in the Pacific Ocean, several kilometers southeast of Japan. This would probably explain a fair amount of stuff, actually. Like, literally the entirety of the episode, Uh-Oh Dynamo. Tifu Blackmoth. Tifu Blackmoth is a veteran of the Powerpuff Girls fandom, dating back to 2003 on websites like DeviantArt. In recent years, they have been responsible for creating a Powerpuff Girls character creator, much like the Powerpuff Yourself website that Cartoon Network made in promotion for the 2016 reboot. Only difference is this isn't official, and you have more options to choose from when creating your character. Also, it's in 3D thanks to the Unity engine. Trains don't go to Cuba.
If a train leaves Boston at 12:30 p.m., traveling at 75 miles per hour, and another train leaves Los Angeles at the same time, traveling at 90 miles per hour,
Which one will get to Cuba first?
Neither. Trains don't go to Cuba, Ms. Keen.
Jack Black in See Me, Feel Me, Know Me. During the production of the episode See Me, Feel Me, Know Me, local cool kid Jack Black was to play the role of the gnome. Jack Black, however, turned down the offer, and the voice of Wacko Warner himself, Jess Harnell, would provide his voice. I'll be honest, when I first saw the episode, I genuinely thought it was Jack Black. I guess it just goes to show how talented Jess Harnell really is. Once Upon a Townsville had a terrible moral. After watching the episode for myself, I can safely say that the lesson in the episode was horrendous. Just to avoid sounding like a Mr. Enter, I guess I should say what the moral was. In the episode, a princess whose name I already forgot, and I'm not bothered to actually look it up, was wanting to be your typical damsel in distress, and yet by the end of it, she is all about being independent and whatnot. Now, on a surface level, and if this was done in, say, the original series, the moral would be fine. Just the way the writers went on with it, it just felt forced and sexist in a few ways. If you want to see an episode with a similar moral that actually works, try Dog and Pony Show from MLP. Or if you want something from the original show, then check out Something's Amiss. Just don't watch this episode. Bismarck is the capital of North Dakota. This refers to this image. Nothing more to add other than, I guess, sharing the original image taken from one of the comics. Layer 5. Chemical Extraction copy Tom and Jerry in Fist of Fury. Chemical Extraction was a game developed by Viz Entertainment and released on the Nintendo 64 and the original PlayStation, and was met with such praise such as a 2 out of 10 on IGN, or a 30% on Metacritic. As you can tell, it was a smash hit. One of the main reasons this game was criticized was for being a reskin of a game made by the same company a year prior. This game being Tom and Jerry in Fist of Fury, which was released on the N64 and Windows Computer. Ironically though, Viz would later take on another game based on the two properties. These two being the Powerpuff Girls Relish Rampage, released on the GameCube and PlayStation 2, and Tom and Jerry in War of the Whiskers, released on the GameCube, PlayStation 2, and original Xbox. As far as I know, these two games don't share anything with each other. I just find it amusing that this company had more games of these properties. Bleed Man. Bleed Man is the pen name of the minds behind Powerpuff Girls Shojinshi. If you want to learn more about Powerpuff Girls Shojinshi, go back to Layer 3. The Art of Margaret King. Margaret D.H. King is an American artist famous for her stylized art and giving whatever she paints big eyes. This was a big inspiration for the show, if you couldn't tell by the main characters. So much that the character, Miss King, was named after her. This I actually didn't know about at all. I find this really interesting. Boy Girl Marathon. The Boy Girl Marathon was an 8-hour marathon that took place in 1999, in which Cartoon Network would switch between episodes of Powerpuff Girls and Ed, Edd n Eddy. Another marathon that I know of that went on is titled Battle of the Sexes, which went on for 13 hours instead of 8 hours. While the Boy Girl Marathon has been well archived with bumpers, promos, and even articles from the late 90s being archived, I couldn't find much on the Battle of the Sexes marathon aside from this gem of a promo.
Lorenzo Lamas?
No, I'm sorry. That's incorrect.
Cry, baby.
Powerpuff Girls and SpongeBob share the same Santa. Obviously, this isn't true! In the Powerpuff Girls, Santa is animated, and in SpongeBob, he is a real man-boy thing! Gosh, I hope someone got fired for that blunder. Japanese merchandise. Like every other franchise that gets popular, Japan gets all the best merchandise of the said franchise, and this is no different for the Powerpuff Girls. Aside from the obvious stuff like plushies of the girls, they have actually collaborated with some of the greatest things ever, such as with Vocaloid to commemorate the show's 10th anniversary, or Love Live for the show's 15th. Also, they made these plushies of the girls from Love Live in the Powerpuff Girls style, and I need all of these. I swear, literally everything I like is connected in some way, shape, or form. The monsters are chill dudes. Throughout the show, a fair amount of the monsters have been portrayed as some alright individuals, such as Mr. Green from the episode Substitute Creature, the Slime Monster from the episode Catastrophe, or, despite what they might tell you, the Amoeba Boys. I guess this just goes to show you that you can never judge a book by its cover. Except for you, Wally Gator! I hate you. Grubber is secretly a genius. Grubber is a member of the Gangrene Gang who is often portrayed as the dumb one, aside from Billy. Although he has had some genuine moments of genius, such as the episode Schoolhouse Rocked.
You're in a lot of trouble, Sonny!
I'm assuming this is referring to this.
You're in a lot of trouble! You're in a lot of trouble!
Layer 6. That one frame in the movie that Mike Lazo says looks like Craig. I couldn't find much on this, so I'm just gonna assume they're referring to this guy. McCracken on Miiverse. This refers to this one person who was pestering Sakurai about the Powerpuff Girls' inclusion in Super Smash Bros. What's odd about this is that the person's Mii looked like McCracken himself. And what's even odder is that the person was named Craig. The mayor's evil twin brother. All I could find is a character from the reboot, but I swear there was some joke from the OG Powerpuff Girls about him having an evil twin, but I could just be misremembering things. Encoded by VPC. Venus Prime Corporation was digital recorded media for any science fiction piece of animation, such as Batman the Animated Series, X-Men the Animated Series, and the Powerpuff Girls, the animated series. These were around during a time on the internet where getting high quality copies of cartoons wasn't the easiest thing to do. Think of it how, say, the website Yoshiart was used to archive the Mario cartoons during the early days of YouTube Poop.
That's Mama Luigi to you, Mario!
Hello, it's me Bubbles. I just realized that Pink Duality forgot to mention one bit on the iceberg, because she's an idiot so Anime Mrs. Keen X Mojo. Throughout the duration of the anime, it was hinted that Mojo Jojo and Mrs. Keen had some feelings towards each other, such as in the episode King Kong. Why they decided to do this is again a mystery to me, but the anime itself is surrounded by all kinds of mystery. Alright, Bubbles out.
Him is dead, and Billy Shears replaced him. This is just the Powerpuff Girls equivalent of the Paul is dead theory. In case you don't know what the Paul is dead theory is, the theory states that the Beatles member Paul McCartney died on November 9th of 1966 and was replaced with Billy Shears. And during the third season of Powerpuff Girls, there was an episode titled Meet the Beatles, where Mojo Jojo, Princess Morbucks, Fuzzy Lumpkins, and him started a group in order to take over Townsville. This particular episode was caked in Beatles references. I'm assuming you can connect the dots from there. MeetJam.com. This was a website that was, at the time, heaven for any Powerpuff Girls fan, sporting screenshots, episodes, and audio relating to the Powerpuff Girls during the early 2000s. Obviously, the website isn't up now, and screenshots of the website are scarce, but it's really interesting to see something like this. Ronald Reagan beats up Buttercup because she's the bitchy one. This is a reference to a series Saturday Night Live had back in the day called The Ex-Presidents. In an episode, former presidents George W. Bush, Ronald Reagan, Jimmy Carter, and Gerald Ford end up fighting the Powerpuff Girls after the girls catch them kidnapping SpongeBob so they could use him as American propaganda. I swear, this is probably the weirdest bit of the iceberg. Layer 7. Deleted scenes in the movie and City Eclipseville. Both the movie and the episode City Eclipseville have, well, deleted scenes. A lot of these are pretty self-explanatory now when I think about it. The movie's deleted scenes were released on the DVD release of the film and consists of an extended bit of the professor getting arrested, a few scenes that would be in between the girls getting the iconic volcano ready for Mojo, with the professor answering different phone calls intermediately, and some more carnage of Mojo and his army. As for the City Eclipseville, the infamous teenager scene was originally going to include the girls as pop stars, but they were cut for being too sexual. It makes you wonder if this inspired the iconic Powerpuff album. Probably. Hot Diggity Demon's Powerpuff Girls video is plagiarized. For those of you who don't know, Hot Diggity Demon, who you may know for the Pony.Mov series of videos, has a review series titled Brain Dump, in which he reviews movies and television shows. One of his earlier episodes was about the 2016 reboot. This, however, would have some skeletons in the closet. According to Tumblr user Bug-Eyed Answers, she helped out on the video providing ideas and sources, who in return just wanted credit. But Hot Diggity Demon just seemed to have left her out of the crediting department, and was all around just unpleasant. I understand that Hot Diggity Demon has a fair share of controversies, but that's not my room to intervene. Immortality Syndrome, by the creator of Slender. Immortality Syndrome is a dark fanfic in which Mojo Jojo manages to kill Blossom during battle, and everything just ends up getting worse from there. The story has 2 sequels, and if you can handle something like this, then I'd recommend giving the fic a read. Or if you're lazy like me, take a look at the comic of the story. The story was written by Mark J., who would later go on to make the game adaptation of the infamous Spooky Man Slender Man. More interestingly, aside from the Powerpuff Girls, he also wrote fanfics about other Cartoon Network properties such as Courage the Cowardly Dog and Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Spitfire's art and Angel Fire. Spitfire is an artist from the early days of the Powerpuff Girls fandom. She also had a blog where she would post her art along with a blot of being posted on rowdyrough.net. Personally, I find her art to be pretty nice for the most part, especially for the time, my personal favorites being these. From my research, I couldn't find any controversy or anything else centered around her, so if anyone has more information on this, please tell me. Kill the Powerpuff Girls Flash games. I really don't want to talk about this, but I have to. Just for anyone's safety, I'm not going to show any footage of these games. These games were made around 2007 on Newgrounds, in which you kill the Powerpuff Girls in graphic ways. I'm not exactly comfortable with going more in depth than I already have, so all I can say is this. Please, for the love of God, do not look these up. You'll thank me later. And now the last thing on the iceberg. Never trust anyone who says their favorite Powerpuff Girl is Blossom. Well, joke's on you, because my favorite is Bubbles. And that was the Powerpuff Girls Iceberg. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I'd like to thank Spenny the Spoon again for making the iceberg, and I would politely want to ask you to please leave a comment if you want me to make more of these icebergs. I definitely had a lot of fun making this, for the most part. Until next time, this is me signing out.